Hi guys, it's Ugu and welcome back to another video here on the channel. Today I bring you my 20 books I want to read in 2021. So I decided to make it this list so I continue to read the series I started, start new series that I want to read, and other books that I want to read during this year, not counting with new releases. That video comes more or less soon, but these are books that I already own that I want to go this year and read them and make a review for you. So with no further ado, let's do this video. So the first book that I have here is The School of Good and Evil by someone Shainen. This is a middle grade fantasy story. I think it goes to YA more further. This is the first volume. I have the 6 of them right here, as you can see. And I've read the first one a couple of years ago when it came out. This is my Portuguese edition. It has this edges all different and it's in a hardcover, and I remember being different from the normal one, and I really enjoy it. What I read and I wanted to continue, but unfortunately it wasn't published the rest in Portugal, so I got all of them now and I will binge read this 6 series by now in a rush. So this story follows Sophie and Agatha as they go to the School of Good and Evil. In their village, from time to time, two persons are kidnapped and go to the School of Good to become prince and princesses of fairy tales, and the other goes to the School of Evil to become the villain of that story. As we progress to the story, we see that their gender, that roles that they think they should have are swamped, and we'll see how they will survive to that year. And I really loved this story. I loved how Sophia and Agatha were portrayed, and we see as an older audience that why they go to where they go. So this will be a further read in 2021. So other book that I want to read in 2021 is Aristotle and Dante Discovers the Secrets of the Universe. This is not very recent. There's a lot of buzz about in booktube. I know some booktubers that really love this book, and I'm really excited to read it. This follows the story of Aristotle and Dante. As they are so different, they become friends against all the odds, and they have to surpass a lot of challenges that will put their friendship inside. And I really thought this was really interesting, and from the reviews that I heard, it's an amazing book and I'm really excited to read it. Another book that I really want to read this year is The Fletcher by Beth. I already heard in audiobook the Switch, which was her new release, and this one follows Tiffy and Leon as they share the flat. So that's why it's called Fletcher. But more important, the flat has only one room, so they share the same bed. This sounds a little bit awkward, but Tiffy works by day, so she sleeps at night, and Leo does the reverse. He works by night and sleeps by day. And they communicate on the apartment by using sticky notes on the fridge, which I found is very lovely. This is a British author, and I really love her writing style on the Switch, so I hope I really enjoy the Fletcher the same. Now, a different type of books I want to reach in 2021 is by reading mangas, and for the first time I'll be reading the Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon. I will not say how much I love this series. I love Sailor Moon growing up. I grew up with the series of the 90s. I loved every single episode. She made me laugh so much, and I'm very excited for have the mangas. I have now 2 volumes. I have more coming out. So I think I will have the whole series by 2021, and I'll binge read this one. So if you don't know what Sailor Moon is about, they have like different planets, but this is Usagi Tsukino. She's a normal teen. I think she has 14 years or something, and she finds a cat and help him. That cat is Luna, and she's searching for the Loon Princess, and she gave Sailor Moon a brooch so she can transform in the Guardian Sailor Moon and protect the world against the villains that come up. And although she is very clumsy, she doesn't like to fight, she achieves great powers, and she has to find the other Sailor Scouts like Ami, who is Sailor Mercury, and the others that will come in later volumes of the manga. Now, I really want to go in manga and judging the genre, by not judging at the same time the story, because I will if the story was not captivate me, I will may say I don't like manga because I didn't like the story. And sometimes it's very hard to differentiate the type of reading with the material and the story. So I decided to go with a manga that I know I love the story, so I can see if I love the style of the manga. So I don't know if you guys want me to do reviews on the channel. Tell me down below if you would like to see the reviews for the mangas also here on the channel. Another book that I want to read in 2021 is one of my favorite authors by now, and I only read one book from him, but Coraline is so perfect that I think Neverwhere it's a great way to go for a second Neil Gaiman's book. This is passed in London, and we follow Richard, who is a very, as he say, he has a very boring life, and when he helps a girl who is bleeding, his life changed completely. So her name is Dor, and he'll find out that she's being persecuted by murderers, and now he has to help her, and this is going to be a great adventure, I think. Finding out that Neil Gaiman is the author is the only thing that I really need, because Coraline was so good that this cannot be less. I believe even if it's less than Coraline, because Coraline is a different level, it won't be a bad book, because it has beasts, angels, monsters in a labyrinth, Earl who holds court in a tube train. So I think he has everything that it should be, and he has amazing illustrations. As you can see, it's an illustrated edition, and God, it's like Coraline's. The illustrations, even in the pages, are beautiful. So it's a very good book to read because you will see amazing images at the same time. So this is going to be one of my books for 2021. Another book that I want to read in 2021, and I hope the movie comes out also in 2021, is Dear Evansen. I saw the review in channel from Anna, the Phoenix Flight, and I love how she sold this book, and I said, for me, I have to read it. If she said it's good, I really trust her, so it's here. So this follows Evansen, and he has struggled to belong in high school like a lot of people do. So he writes letters for himself, starting with the sentence, "Dear Evansen, this is gonna be a great day." I think the first line is like this: "Dear Evansen, that's how all my letters begin." So this is how the book starts, and we know that a troubled guy named Connor takes his life during the book, and he has a letter that Evan wrote for himself with him. So everyone thinks that Evan is friends of Connor, which is a lie. And Evan starts to gain attention on high school. He has to help Connor's father with the grief and faking being a friend while he's not. And I think it's an amazing story. And I think will deal with tough subjects like grief and how that white lie that he's telling may affect Connor's parents. The next book I will show you, it's a book that I plan to read on the summer. It is Beach Read by Emily Henry. I bought this at the end of the summer, and I felt like, it's a story set in the summer. It has beach on the name, so it doesn't feel right to read it right now. Not saying that you shouldn't read it, but for me, I said, well, I think it's a cute story to read on the summer. I don't have so much summer stories, books that pass in the summer or with that summer theme, and I thought this will be great to start. June, July has my read for a beach theme. So this follows January and Gus. They are two writers who are broke, and they have writer's block, and they decide to swap books and help each other because they are spending the summer together in the beach. So I found it will be very interesting, very casual and uplifting, and even funny book to hear and to read. So remember, June, July. Next, it's a series that I plan to get on 2021. That is Sight by Neil Shusterman. I heard so many people saying this is good. Since I read the description for the first time when people saying it was good, I fell in love, and I finally got it. The first, the second, and the third. So if you don't know, Sight is a futuristic sci-fi story plus fantasy. In this futuristic world, there is no more death. Instead, we have these Sights who get assigned to terminate people. So it maintains the population in the world, because without death, the population will grow constantly and will overpopulate the earth. So basically we have Citra and Rowan, who are apprentices of sight, and they have no option than learn the art of killing. However, the terrifying responsibility of choosing their victims is just the start. So they have to decide the victims, and sometimes this can be hard, tough, and due to pandemics, we know that maybe choosing who lives or who dies is hard. So I believe that even if they are teens, will be harder, and I'm really excited to read this in 2021. The next book I want to show you is a thriller. It's Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. I read Gone Girl. I liked it. I gave it 4 stars. I didn't love it. I thought the beginning was very slow. The end was amazing. From middle to end, I loved the book. But that beginning, I think, a little bit shorter or a little bit more fast will be great for me. But I loved. And I heard people who read 3 books from Gillian, Dark Places, Sharp Objects, and Gone Girl, said this is, if not better, is good as Gone Girl. So I believe this is going to be my thriller for Gillian Flynn. So if you don't know the story, this follows Libby as she tries to prove that her brother did not commit the crime that he's in prison for. So she was very young. She was 7 years old. Her brother was 15, and he was a trouble boy. He misfit a lot on the town where they live, but she still thinks that even being a bad boy doesn't make you a murderer, and she believes that he's innocent. So I don't know much. I don't want to know much. I like to go my thrillers with none or very few information, so I get surprised. And let's see how this goes. One book that I plan, I don't know if I'll be reading all, because this is a collection. But I will read 1 story per month, I would say. So 12 stories. The total is the Penguin collection of Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. This is 56 stories plus 4 novellas. It's a chunky book. He has 1,100 pages, but since are short stories and novellas, The Hound of the Baskervilles was actually the book that I've read from the Sherlock Holmes series, and I loved it. And I will show you. The letters are very small and it's a very heavy book, but I think I will not beginning and end at the same time all together. I will be reading it like it was a collection of short stories like the Grimm brothers, that I pick one, another day I don't feel like reading what I'm reading, and I pick a small story who has some pages, and I'll be in a good mood to go to a detective story. So I will try to reach as much as I can on this year that comes. If you saw my favorite books of 2020, you know that I loved Misery from Stephen King. And so I decided to continue my Stephen King books reading. I have a lot of books from him, and I decided for 2021 to pick Pet Sematary. This doesn't mean that I'll only be reading Pet Sematary, but this is a top priority. I know that Murphy loved it. I know there are a lot of people who love it, and I'm really excited. Like I said, I loved Misery. I really liked it, so I don't expect less than 4 stars on this one. So this is about a family that moves into a house. I think the father is a writer or something, and exploring the house, they found the pet cemetery on the fields of the house, and spooky things start to happen when they discover that cemetery for pets. It's very terrifying. I know it tackles the subject of grief. It's one of the things that Murphy said a lot of times that was a great book about grief, and I'm really excited to read this on next year. Now I have series that I want to finish, and the first one is the Dragonlance series by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, and this is the second one, Dragons of the Winter Night. I've read the first one last year. I enjoy it for my first high fantasy epic, if you want to call it, the Dragonlance. I really enjoyed the first one, and I didn't continue yet, and I want to finish the story. I have a couple of more books of this series, short stories about the characters, some prequels, some sequels, and I think it's a very vast universe, and this is based on D&D. I I don't know more what to say, but the first book follow very different characters falling, trying to save the world and trying to make amends with their pasts and trying to achieve the main goal of not allowing the evils to prosperity. And it's very rich. You have magicians, you have sword fighters, you have dwarves, you have barbarians, all working together, all having conflicts at the same time. We see there were things that I didn't like, but you can pass through that and see how good this series was, how imaginative, how was very well constructed from the first book, and I hope this one lives up as the first one lived for me. So in terms of sequels that I also want to finish, I have Eldest by Christopher Apolloni. I read Aragon. I loved it. I should have read it a couple of years ago. I don't know if I'm gonna pick all three because they are very big books, but I loved Aragon. I think it was very fast reading. It was it has some cliches, but I'll keep my mind that this is for a YA age range, so I won't expect to have so much of the cliches, of the normal tropes of the chosen one, but it was a pleasant surprise, and I really loved how this book was done, how that book was done, and I really want to continue with this series as soon as I can. Now, I have A Darker Shade of Magic by V. Schwab. This follows Cal, who is one of the last travelers. He can travel through different dimensions where the cities are different. The city of London is different. It goes by colors. You have the Grey London, who I think is without magic, yes. We have the Red London when the magic is reversed. We have the White London and the Black London who disappeared. So I heard amazing things about V. Schwab. I know a lot of people love The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and I know people love this series. I want to love them too, and so I'm starting. As you can see, I have all three of them, so this is one of the series that I will pick in 2021. Continuing the series of fantasies and well loved on booktube, I have The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson, the Mistborn trilogy. I know this is a great way to start high fantasy, and I heard so many things. I think I by now I know all the plot. I don't know. I'm just kidding. I know the premise of the first one, that it's a world where the bad guy won, so we have to defeat him, and the magic system involves ingesting metals, and basically is that what I know. And the Mistborn can ingest more than one metal. I think is that sort of thing, but never mind. This is one of the series that I'm most excited to read it. I know Sanderson is a very good author. I know the books are very intense, heavy, with a lot of description, with the magic systems being so unique. So I'm very excited to read this book. And the last two books I have is CGL Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. She is the author of Eat, Pray, Love. And what I heard about this book is it follows very much the vibe of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I loved last year. Best book of last year, no doubt. And since he has the same vibe, he set on the summer of 1940, I love that period. I love period pieces. I love books set on that time and showing that time. I don't need to know more. I'm sold with it. Says similar vibes of Evelyn Hugo. It's set on a period that you like. I'm sold. I don't need any more. And the last book I want to pick from this book list is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I don't read so much classics. This is a very old edition, but I don't read so much classics, and I really want to pick up classics. And I know I don't tend to like romance classics like Jane Austen so much. I love Wuthering Heights, so a gothic novel like Rebecca I think will be, from my taste, what I'm looking for as a classic. So what you guys think about my choices for 2021? Make sure you chat with me more in the comments. Which books are you excited? Which books that you already read? More recommendations, that books that you think I should read in 2021. Don't forget, I will be doing the most excited books from 2021, the new releases that I plan to read also. Yeah, basically I'll post videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and sometimes on Saturday. So I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.